How to light day interiors. As a cinematographer, we like to light in the dark because we have the most control. But in a day interior, the sun is really annoying. We have problems with controlling, balancing the light, and also we need a lot of power to counter the sun. In this video, I'm going to show you a few techniques that you can use in next production to make better light interiors. This is one of your most common scenarios. There's a woman, there's a guy in the living room sitting, doing something. So how can we make this cinematic? First thing first, I'll give you a little step-by-step progress. So you put your camera into the scenery, change your lens, change your settings, etc. This is the frame I want. So now I know there is here a window and we have here a lamp and our person has to sit at this place. So I prepare the frame for this scenario. How do we light the scene? Most of the time you work as a cinematographer, looking around, searching for motivation, light motivation. Always have in your mind what is the light motivation for the scenery. Like here, it's clearly that window. Light normally doesn't come from nowhere. The audience has to know what is the most realistic way where the light is coming from. It doesn't have always to be, but that is the rule we do most of the times so that the lighting looks natural. We want natural lighting. We don't want our lighting to feel lit. And this is the problem most cinematographers have, because the light their people, it looks good on paper, but the whole scene doesn't feel right. And this is the reason for it, is that we only concentrate on the person and not on the organic feeling of the room. She is pretty half lit. Half lit means we only have the light on one side of her face, the other side really stops. We don't have a Rembrandt lighting that gives a little bit more exposure on the other side. The reason for that is a stylistic and an emotional scene. This whole scene should feel a little bit like morning sun. The sun is down. It's really pretty lighting for hard light, so everything feels a lot more atmospheric than just bright everything, daylight, no contrast. Contrast doesn't just mean it's a darker, more moody scene. A contrasty shot also could feel really alive. And I think this works here really nice because the set design, as you can see, we have a lot of colors working here. This warmer tones, greens, yellows, oranges, wood. Also, your location is so important. The same light, I tell you always, the same lighting in a location where it's just white, boring sofa, gray, it doesn't feel as alive, because to make something feel colorful, you need colors. In this scenery, we have the window here. I extend the frame a little bit for you. And your light should most of the time not be in the room, because a light is normally in the room. So what we do in a scenario like this, we light from outside. We have our big lights. Nowadays, you would use something like an XT26 or XT56 from Aputure or Godox. There are a lot of brands that make this really big LED lights. Most of the time, earlier days, you would use something like an M40 on the big guns, M19, 80 kilowatt lamps, but a lot of very expensive, a lot of crew, high output. So we control more on the more common lights that you probably use. So use something like 26, or I think the new one is 5.2 or 5.6, I don't remember. They really have strong output. You can put a Fresnel on it to enhance the light put, and then you would just blast, and I mean really blast into the scenery to create this hard light. And most importantly, this light shaft on the ground. The only thing you would probably do is put a quarter diffusion in front of it, and that should be enough for a look like this. This light gives the whole scenery texture. Not forget everything around the girl. The girl is the last thing you put into the scenery, because now we put probably another light in the background that only controls the background, so that the sofa and the wall also gets a little bit of kiss from the wall. The reason why we light also the background and the foreground is that the light feels real and motivated, because when the ground, we can have the same scenery. that we only put nice, huge book light in here, where you bounce into a butterfly into room and then diffuse it and gives the person a nice key light. She would probably, okay, light would be a lot softer. It would look good on her, but she would feel lit. And we don't want the scenery to feel lit. This is the reason why we put the light outside and just replicate and motivate the sun. So lighting people, easy. Lighting the background, difficult. This is where you get your cinematic look and your contrast and your three-dimensional feeling. Because as you can see, we always work in layers, bright, dark, bright, dark. And because we have this light source, also on the ground, we have bright, dark, bright, dark, bright, dark, bright, dark, bright, dark. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 layers of light and contrast. If we would only light her, we have 2 or 3. And that's pretty boring for a shot, if you ask me. Then after you put this big light on the side, you will probably get a lot of bounce from this side. So to control the room, you put a lot of negative fill, so molten and big black sources on the other side, so the light is not bouncing back into the scenery. So now we have a problem. What if everything on the other side is too dark? Because we have this really powerful source and the balance of the shot doesn't feel right anymore. So what we do now is you put in front of her, really parallel, you can put a big butterfly or a few butterflies and bounce a light source like a 600 degree just into it so that the fill comes in front of her and just fill in those shadows a little bit. It really depends on the scenery, but you're on a low output and now we have control over the contrast of the scenery. I said before, you don't want the light in the set because it feels unnatural, but this is not a light that actually gives light. It just gives the feel of that the light on the outside gives this fill on the whole room. So the only reason for this light is don't come too much around the corner, because now we have lights that counter each other and you don't want lights fighting each other. It looks very unpleasant and unprofessional most of the time. Here's a side view of the shot, and what cinematographers do a lot of often is they mix things a little bit up. Now we have this window source in the frame. What we do, we drop the exposure at the beginning so that we can see through the curtains. Oh, also curtains are your best friends. Always put curtains in front of your windows, because now it becomes nice, even light source and you don't get distracted from something that is behind the curtain. Also your chance to put a little bit of color into your scenery. That means curtains, always good. As you can see now, it doesn't look like we have this big light source hitting on her. The reason for it is we want a little bit of a silhouette. Silhouettes are a nice way to create separation, tell a mood, and I think this is really nice. Because now, if you want to get good exposure on her, you have to blast really big light in front of her, and maybe it starts to look unnatural. Also, it could work, it will probably work if you get a bit decent, because the overall scenery now is pretty dark. You always have to be in that area. Now that the window is this dark, your skin shouldn't be brighter. That doesn't make sense. So we have to drop the whole exposure, black out still this side of the frame, and so you get this look. Sure, what you can do is try to bring some interests into the backgrounds on the floor, but I think what they did here is they put a little bit of fill into her, and that's it. So if you enjoyed this breakdown, I really would appreciate a subscription from you. My name is Marco Maglioli, and I'll see you next time.